It's your host, Kevin Oldham, back with another episode of Franchise My Business, the podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. And guys, if you look around and you see that you've got electronics everywhere, your phone, your watch, your computer screen, everywhere, we have electronics, and those electronics have screens on them. And the one thing that most of us know is that one time or another, those screens are going to break. And luckily, we've got heroes out there that are willing to fix our existing devices. So today's show is all about quick mobile repair. Headquarters located in Scottsdale, Arizona, founded by Nick Fazio a little bit over a decade ago, where he pioneered the 15-minute iPhone screen repair. He's been working super, super hard to make sure that those devices that we all carry have nice and new screens. I can't wait to dive into this conversation. Nick, welcome to today's show.
Hey, thanks, Tim. I really appreciate you having me. Super excited to share the Quick Mobile Repair brand and educate the listeners on what we do.
Yeah. What is it that you do? I mean, I think I did a decent job of describing it, but you guys do more than just fix screens, right?
Absolutely. So we're a full service electronics repair company. We can repair anything from a battery, a charging port, a screen on a phone, tablet, a mobile device. We also work on game consoles, computers, really anything with a power button we can fix is what we like to say. That's on the repair side. We also sell certified devices in our stores. So if you want to come get a couple generations older device, we sell those in our stores. We sell cell phone accessories, protection plans, and a wide array of anything pertaining to the mobile device category.
That's awesome. And it's huge, right? We're surrounded by devices in today's world. So business must be pretty good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we, like Kevin, you mentioned, we founded the company about 11 years ago now. I had my first location, started it actually in the back of a tobacco shop, had a little display case, paying $200 a month. And about 9 months later, opened up our first retail location. Looks nothing like our stores look now. It was really rags to riches. Had like $6,000 to open up that store. So opened that up. I was working, Monday through Sunday, every day at that store for about 5 years. Really learned the model. Back when I first started, the iPhone 3GS had just come out. So we're talking about the first iPad. This is right when the technology really started to hit. People remember the iPhone 4 was the first year that the phone was carried by not just AT&T. So we didn't really have mass adoption yet. People still in flip phones, Blackberries. And so, we really pioneered the repair space when it comes to parts and repair guides and all of that. It didn't exist back then. So we were going direct to China, procuring the parts, shipping them here on a week lag time, putting videos together, learning, just taking them apart and going, how do we fix this? And then so that really is what started the journey. And, now we're here.
That's pretty wild because, I remember that now. You couldn't get the iPhone unless you were an AT&T customer initially. Like that was so wild. It rolled out to those guys. And first of all, I kind of want to go back to the flip phone world. I miss having a phone, a dumb phone, just the simplicity of it. But you started this business in the back of a cigar shop right around the time that mass adoption really started to take hold. Made a name for yourself as locally there in Scottsdale as being, hey, I'm the guy who can fix your iPhone 3GS, right?
Yes, exactly.
Then what happens? I mean, so you're hustling there in the cigar shop. Like, what happens after the cigar shop?
Well, so I started when I was in high school. So for me, this was all intuition, right? I didn't have really any education in high school. And so for me, I did what made sense. So we opened up the first location and was there for about 5 years. I then went to go to a supplier. So then there was eventually a U.S. supplier that was selling parts. And so I actually went and ran their sales team. From that, I learned a lot about how being at a larger company, not just having a one store operation, what that looks like on a larger scale. Was able to kind of do that. Ended up finding my business partner, Alan Leffler. He's our COO. And so joined up with him. We quickly opened up 4 more locations in the Phoenix area. Really grew a good footprint there. From that, I started doing consulting work for other businesses. And this is what kind of led me to the franchise world. I consulted for a company called Beard Papa. They're a international cream puff company. So they have 500 locations internationally, and they do like custom cream puffs. And I was helping them with their marketing, and they were really growing their franchise here in the States. And so I was attending all the discovery days and what it looks like to own a franchise, to be on that side of it. So did that for about a year and a half. And from that, I was like, well, why don't I just franchise my model? Why don't I franchise what I'm doing on it?
Right.
For about 2 years, in January 2020, so we started franchising. And it's been going well since then. And one of our key decisions is obviously in our space, cell phone repair. There's U-Break and PR. These are the ones that have been there. They pretty much started around the same time I did. And we acquired one of the lead development people from CPR. And so they came and joined our team, a gentleman named John Hart. He leads all of our development operations. And he came on board, and we started selling franchises from that point on.
That's awesome. So, I love the rags to riches story. It's like you bootstrap this thing out of a cigar shop, which is totally random and awesome in itself. It's like, hey, it could have been anything, right? Then you meet, he's now your business partner, Alan, right?
Yep.
So at what point did you decide to, because I think this is something that a lot of operators, franchisors, they struggle with. If I always use the analogy of, hey, I'm a bakery and I'm making cookies, and I've got these amazing cookies. I got 3 locations in Kansas City, and everybody's going nuts for them. So I'm gonna expand this thing via franchising. But maybe I'm the visionary, as a lot of business owners are, the visionary. And have you ever read the book Rocket Fuel?
I have not.
Or heard of it?
No,
it's about having the. Yeah, the whole premise is you've got to, for a business to rock and roll, you got to have the visionary, but you also have to have the integrator, like somebody at GSD, get stuff done.
Yep.
So you meet Alan, not saying that you're not a GSD type of guy, but you're the founder. You find, hey, I need somebody to run this thing, like help me run from an operations perspective, this business. How critical do you think that decision was? It was quite a while ago to the success that you guys are having now.
I think it was probably the one decision, the best decision I could have made. And I think the big thing for, I am the visionary, right? I'm always with the crazy ideas. How do you make it happen?
Yeah.
I see for people who are owners, it's very hard to give up that control. I think that's the main thing. And I was that person. I had such a hard time giving up control or, being that way. And then you kind of learn that you can't do it. I could own 100% of a small company, or I could own less percent of a much bigger company. And so you have to kind of make that decision. One of the key things I think when you pick a partner, and I think it's so important, if you're going to grow a big company, you need multiple partners who are invested, is really the character of the person. And less about maybe what their skill set is, but the character of the person. Are they a good person, right? Because when you're going to business with somebody, it's like having a kid with someone. So you have to feel confident that that person is going to care as much as you, going to work as hard as you. The skill stuff you can learn. Well, the skills are commoditized in this day and age. So I think you can learn anything you want going on Google or YouTube or research. It's that care factor. And then we can replicate that across the board to all of our stores. We look at our best performing stores, our store leaders. Who cares the most, right? Who really cares if their store's doing well? Who really cares if the company is going to succeed? Those people, in my opinion, are irreplaceable. So then that would be
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, you've got to have the support staff that cares as much as you do, that's probably one of the more hard things I think that it's one of the things that people think is going to be hard, which is scaling carry. Like as an entrepreneur myself, I'm super, super blessed to have team members in my companies that I like to say care 95% as much as I do. Nobody will care 100% as much as the owner of a business. Like, I think that's just going to be a fact across the board. But if you can find people that buy into your vision, like even 95%, and they care as much like that, because they shouldn't care 100, they shouldn't allocate as much caring as the innovators, right? I think it's daunting to a lot of people, but if you build the framework and you build the organization such, you put people in place where you can scale caring, you can scale service, you can scale your processes, integrity of delivery of the services, and all those things. And that's awesome, man. That's it. The other thing is, I think a lot of people, the visionaries, most visionaries know that they need that right hand to augment their blind spots, and not enough, in my opinion, check their ego to be able to say, hey, you know what? Like, I do need somebody who knows this stuff, and I will take a smaller piece of a bigger pie. I think the entrepreneur's ego gets in the way sometimes. So kudos to you for recognizing those things. I think that's what defines a successful entrepreneur is being resourceful and then backfilling with what you don't have. Obviously, none of us have everything it takes to be successful. So let's talk about the franchising, because that's what this show is all about. You guys start franchising in 2019, is that correct?
No, the beginning of 2020. And we had started
2020. Okay.
3C in 2019.
Good timing. Great timing. Great timing.
Great time. Yeah, right into COVID. But
funny timing to open up some brick and mortars.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because you would think that, but honestly, COVID, it didn't do wonders for the world, but for our business, it was very lucrative, right? I mean, you're trapped in your house. You're trapped in your house. What do you need more? You need your laptop and your computer, right? So it became, we were an essential service. We didn't shut down, and our sales jumped 30-40%, from pretty much April on, and it really teed us off well. And I think that as we went out and we started selling, we went to trade shows, we went to broker networks, started getting leads. That was attractive. People who were interested, right? I mean, when you look at the franchise space, I think it's over 50% food. Food's very deep franchise space. Well, food just got decimated, right? Because every restaurant just closed. And so that kind of knocked a lot of the food out that people were investing in. And it really opened up for a world of essential services. And we fit right into that. So I think that was actually a great timing for us.
That is awesome. Yeah. You guys fared, I'm sure, way better than we did in the smoothie business. That's what my franchise system is. We're not deemed essential by any means.
Yeah,
man, that's really cool, because you never know what's. Well, first of all, you never know what business is going to thrive in a pandemic, because this is most of our first pandemic, if not everybody's. Right. But that's really cool. The timing worked out for you guys. The traction you have is remarkable. I want to tap into that a little bit more, because I know you've got a couple locations here in our home market of Kansas City. How many locations can people walk into today? And then you mentioned kind of a roundabout figure of how many you have in the pipeline.
Exactly. So right now we have 15 locations open. Those kind of spread across. Florida's going to be our biggest growth market. I mean, it's a state, but Florida in general, and between Tampa, Orlando, kind of the coast, Sarasota area, down Fort Lauderdale. So those are our major growth areas. We do have stores in Utah, Salt Lake City area, Kansas City, and Arizona. So those are 15 locations you can walk into today. We have sold 90 locations, 90 plus, 92 across the country in those franchise agreements. This year, we're scheduled to open up 15 locations. I think about 50% of those will be in the Florida area with kind of sprinkled where, and that's what we have now. We have other deals on deck in Atlanta, New Mexico that will hopefully be closing here soon. But right now,
that's awesome. So you're going to literally, if things go the way that it's planned, double the size of your physical footprint of things that people can walk into and be served in this year.
Yep, absolutely.
How's that feel? How's that feel?
It's one of those things where when I first started in 2020, we had the 5 corporate locations. John Hart, our chief development officer, we had calls that went 4 or 5 hours. Coming from the CMR world, and we just connected on a lot of things. Our industry, there was a lot of changes happening. To not over-explain, but CPR, break I-6, which was purchased from the insurance companies, Assurance and Assurion. And they're the for T-Mobile and Verizon. And so they were making the acquisitions of the brands and really started turning them into service centers, right? A lot of franchisees were bought out of their stores, and they went from 800 franchise locations they break that fix to having only about 450 and buying back corporate stores. And so we kind of were aligned in our vision that these stores we're going to become service centers, right? You have insurance, you need a repair, send it in. And it kind of took away from the retail aspect that made this business so lucrative for a franchisee. So we really aligned on that. And for us, that's what really heated up. And from there, obviously I used to say on those calls, the dream, right? You have 5 stores and dream of having stores across the country. I would tell you that as much as it is a dream, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Managing franchisees and all of that's a whole nother skill set that we could talk for hours about. But very excited and super positive, very excited to get this brand going where we want to.
Well, and you I'm going to say you got lucky, meaning not lucky in your journey, but just lucky by your DNA, because we talk about making that leap from, hey, I'm an entrepreneur who's got a couple of mobile repair places myself, to, hey, I'm going to go support other entrepreneurs in their vision. And that's a leap, right? Like, it's a big leap, and you're kind of in the thick of it, which is supporting your franchisees. They have needs just like they're your customers now. They're your customers. You got a new business to business relationship. So congrats on being born with the DNA that allows you to make that leap, because some people aren't able to make that leap. They typically have to hire it out, right? They're just like, hey, I'm not equipped to coach other entrepreneurs. Cool. That's not in your DNA. That's awesome. Right. So yeah, you hit the genetic lottery there, which is awesome.
I think there's a lot to it too. And this is another thing you talked before about entrepreneurs' ego getting in the way. To start this journey, you have to take a step backwards, in my opinion, right? So 5 stores, corporate stores doing well, right? Very financially doing great. Up to 25 years old, killing it. And to start a franchise operations, we're talking about a significant amount of capital. And so I didn't take pay for about a year and a half. Luckily, I made money in the crypto space, so I was able to do that. But I got paid myself, and then my partner had to reduce his pay, and so that's something else that is not said. If you come from a Fortune 500 world and people are just throwing money at you, yeah, it's fine. But if you're really going to try to bootstrap this thing, and people were not lending money in the COVID time, so it was dead, and so we had to bootstrap the whole thing, and that's another big part of this. Is I tell people now that I've been 2.5 years in, it's $500,000 in my opinion. To really do it. Yeah, spread over 24 months. That's doable if you happen to have corporate stores that are generating the revenue. It can sustain it. It's a cash burn. And I've talked to a lot of investment groups. So as people who are in the franchise space, to get a franchise up and going, it's just a cash burn that takes place between the training and travel and all of that goes into it. So that's another thing that you have to be aware of. Not daunting, but something that definitely needs to be said for sure.
Well, it's the other thing is your time, right? As the CEO, is that I'm going to say more than the money, it's the effort, just the amount of effort you have to do, whether it's building your operations manual or whatever it is, building an intranet. All these things that you need to get as close as you can to giving somebody a business in a box, so that they don't have to make decisions, and you've already made them and proven those decisions are the right decisions. And I think a lot of people underestimate the lift, not only just capital, but time wise. So tell me about your team. So, you guys have, at the end of this year, you're going to have 30 locations that people can walk into, plus or minus. What's your guys' home office support team look like, or the support team for your franchisees?
Absolutely. So it's myself, Hal Leffler, John Hart, Chief Development Officer. We have Zach and Goglia. He's our Director of Technology. Tech is a very big part of this. Obviously, from the obvious side, we're fixing phones. But what makes us different than the Ubreak iFix CPRs, what the independence, and in my opinion, is the tech. When you walk into our stores, there's an iPad on the counter that you can look through our entire inventory, order devices, and it's all created by us. So we've custom coded all of that, our onward appointment booking, our e-commerce, everything is all done in-house. And so Zach, he actually started at our stores at 16 years old, bright young kid. Came for the interview, taken in a suit. He never worked. And hired him, and he worked in our stores for 2.5 years. He was getting offers. He was taking, college courses his junior year. Very, very great. he was going to go to college, and we offered him to stay. And so he's kind of staying on to help grow the brand. And he still runs our offshore team. I think a lot can be offshore. So we have 23 people offshore doing online SEO, advertising, design. All of our designs are done in-house. So that was a big thing for me. Coming from where I consulted for this other brand, and they outsourced everything. They outsourced the franchise sales, they outsourced the design, they outsourced it all. And I just saw how that can, one, get extremely expensive. You think it's cheaper, you think it's short term because you're like, oh, it'll be higher. But long, you scale that out, you'll waste all the money on that. So everything is done in-house, and it keeps everything symmetrical, right? Like the brand is on point. Everything is dialed in perfectly. And he also leads a lot of our offshore team. And then we have Braden Sparks. He's our executive brand manager. And he really who has created really the B2B side. That's something that doesn't get touched on a lot on the front end. Obviously, to our franchisees, it's definitely talked about. This business is not just the retail consumer, right? It is people who walk in the store. But we're working with, we're working a deal right now in Orlando with Disney, right? They have over 4,000 devices at that park. And so servicing them, selling them to them. We have a lot of customers in Arizona, medical groups, real estate companies, pest control services, all these different companies that have devices going. How do you market them? How do you go in and figure out what they need and how can you fill those gaps? Is it cables? Is it we'll purchase your full devices from you? There's a wide array of what you do. And he really has put together this process on how to acquire those customers. And so he leads a lot of the marketing efforts, the social media, things like that. That's our core team. We do have other people who help with like operationals. So I have a big part of our network, in my opinion. Obviously, there's people in this role know what Slack is, Microsoft Teams. Our business is built off of Slack. So each of our franchisees have their own network, all interconnected. So all of our stores are talking to each other on an hourly basis, right? So if somebody gets a phone that you've never heard, a Kyocera Duraforce 4, right? I never even seen it. But someone will put a message, how do we fix this? Now you have 80 technicians who can answer questions, right? And you have at the drop of you have all that knowledge base. And I think that is a huge way that we're able to scale and keep everybody connected. So I think when it came from the other franchise world, there was a disconnect, right? There was a relationship with franchisee to corporate and maybe in market, franchisee to franchisee. But across the board, there was not this giant connection that took place. And I think everyone's in it together, right? It's a store. Kansas City's doing bad and Florida, and that affects Florida, right? Because we want more stores open. It helps evaluate all of the locations. And so that's something that's super important. All of our franchisees, we talk on a monthly basis on a call, but then even that, they're all communicating all the time. Which from a franchisor perspective, sometimes is,
be careful what you wish for, right?
You have to be willing to accept all the good, but then also some of the bad things with it. But I think it's super important for sure, franchise.
I'm going to say that that's one of the defining factors as to whether or not you have longevity and renewals and all those things, because that familial aspect that, where everybody is working together is what attracts a lot of franchisees to this business model. Like they don't want to do it alone and they want to reduce the amount of risk that they have when they do it. Like those are two of the most valuable things that we can offer the people that we serve. And I love the fact that you guys have just put everybody in Slack and it's like, hey, I ran into something I haven't ran into before. Can somebody help me? And chances are somebody's going to be able to help. So let's talk about, because you guys have a couple, first of all, I didn't see the corporate big account side coming. Like that's a really cool revenue channel for your franchisees. You have services in terms of repair, but I also heard you say at the beginning that you guys have refurbished devices, peripherals, all those things. What side of the business is bigger? Is it services or is it like selling products or is it kind of a mix?
It's definitely repairs. I would say over time it's slightly changed, right? I would say we almost all repairs. I would say repairs, but slowly it's been getting more and more to the certified device section. And the reason why I think is there is as big of jumps in devices, right? I mean, I think we watch these Apple events where we see what comes out, like, oh, it's a single phone. It's the exact same phone. So if someone's doesn't want to spend $45 a month for the rest of their life, hypothetically, because they're going to years spend that forever, you can get an iPhone 11 for $399, pay it once, and that's your phone, and you own it. All the devices we sell are fully unlocked, and they'll work on any carrier of the world. And so that's become more of the business, I would say, 10-20% of the last 5 years. But we're still repair heavy. A lot of the customers they come in to get a device repaired. The device is unrepairable. We'll hand the device here.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good fit.
Shit, I would say. And once people buy a device with us, why would you go and finance a device at all? I just learned that I don't have to finance a device for 36 months. I'll just come buy one from you. So that's once someone buys it, they usually continue buying. So that's what we see kind of year over year.
Yeah, kind of getting off that device treadmill. And I know exactly what you're talking about. We have like 4 devices in our family and all those things. And I could also see another big market for you guys. I don't know if this is true or not, but we've got an 11-year-old. He's going to get this first phone when he goes to middle school. I'm like, I'm not going to go buy you a brand new iPhone because I know chances are you're going to break it or lose it, right? Yeah. So do you find a lot of like the first time phone buyers, people coming in there and getting them for their kids as their first phone as well?
Yes, that's a big part of it. Kids, parents, right? Older parents, 70, kids who come in and buy them for them. That's a good part of it. I would say also we sell iPads. So a lot of the iPads are sort in that. Apple Watches, the AirPods, Apple Pencils. So it's a wide array of those type of devices that we sell. Yeah, kids are a huge portion.
Yeah. And you guys are lessening the impact on our environment as well by reusing, which is kind of this touchy-feely thing, but it's also like a real thing. I mean, we're, plowing through our resources, silicon shortages, all these things. So that's awesome. If people want to learn more about quick mobile repair, like where's the best place for them to go, whether it's a franchisee or whether it's a retail customer who wants to just see if there's a location close, like what's the best way for them to learn more about you guys?
Absolutely. So if you go on our website, quickmobilerepair.com, obviously you can see all of our locations, you can view our services, what we do, what we have to offer. And if you're looking at a specific area, obviously there's locations tab. You could pull that up. You can pull up any of the actual locations. Each location has its own microsite that has personalized information. So you can see who the manager is, you can see the owners, you can see all of that information. For a franchise tab, if you're interested in learning more about the business, possibly becoming a franchisee, you can go there. And we'd love to chat with you.
Sounds like if somebody wants to be a franchisee, they better hustle though, because you guys are blowing up and territories are evaporating quickly. So. Yes. Well, thanks, man. I deeply appreciate you joining us. I love the fact that this business was founded in the back of a cigar shop. Like, that's just a really cool founder story. In the entrepreneur's journey, I always love hearing the founder story because it's never, hey, I went and got an SBA loan. I rented out this, but it's never what everybody thinks. I wrote a business plan. No. 90% of us were just faking it so we could make it and hoping we didn't have to go get a job again.
Well,
100%. Well, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's show with Nick, do me a favor. Think about one person that may benefit from this episode. He's a young entrepreneur who started really with, bootstrapping. This is, you got somebody in your life who's thinking about bootstrapping a business. This is a great episode to share with them. So go ahead and share it with them right now. If you enjoy the Franchise My Business show, please do me a favor and subscribe on your favorite platform. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and I hope you have a phenomenal day.